think this video is long overdue, and it's high time someone with actual experience covered the topic of should you play Neverwinter and is it even worth it? Because thus far, outside of Josh Strife Hayes, who actually played the game for years and knew what he was talking about, even if you didn't agree with him, at least he had a bare minimum of multiple years of experience, which gave him the knowledge required to actually speak about it. He wasn't a Neverwinter tourist just farming views like most of them are. The makers of these types of videos rarely accumulate enough game time to even remotely know what they are talking about. It's literally like me giving my opinion on what it's like to be an astronaut just because I saw the movie Interstellar. Yeah, it's not the way it works. And if by chance you are wondering what my credentials are and why you should even be listening to me in the first place, then I feel like you should know that I have been playing Neverwinter since its release in 2013. I am a Neverwinter content creator and I'm part of the Neverwinter content creator program, but that doesn't mean I'm in anyone's pocket, because trust me, I'm not even close. I have been on their bad side more often than not, because I don't just blindly agree with every change in direction the game takes, and I'm definitely one of their most outspoken critics. So, what you will get from me is my honest opinion, regardless if it might rub some people the wrong way. You know, if there's even such a thing as being rubbed the wrong way, if you get what I'm saying. And as you can see, I have made tons of Neverwinter related content. So if by the end of this video you find yourself satisfied with what I had to say, then maybe consider... Give me a second. Somebody wants to step in for just a moment.
Hello, window lickers. Mortals. It's me, your favorite almighty Lord and Savior Jesus, and Galactic Underwear's YouTube channel is the answer to your prayers. I myself abandoned the Tower of the Mad Mage to come down here to give you this heavenly message. I am the most reputable person, ever. So subscribe to Galactic and like all his videos. He's out of this world. Follow Galactic and he'll shine a light on your path to salvation. Jesus.
Now that all that is out of the way, let's dive into the game of Neverwinter and figure out if it is worth your actual time. Neverwinter is a free mmorpg developed by Cryptic Studios for Microsoft Windows in 2013, for Xbox One in 2015, and for PlayStation in 2016. It's based on the fictional Forgotten Realms campaigns from Dungeons & Dragons and mainly located in the city of Neverwinter and the continent of Faerun on the world of Toril. It is based on D&D but is not an exact representation of the tabletop D&D experience. Neverwinter is a standalone game and not part of the Neverwinter Nights or Baldur's Gate series. March 2023 saw the launch of Module 25 Menzoberranzan. At present, new content is added roughly every 4 months. Sadly, although Neverwinter is available on all 3 platforms, there's no option for crossplay. So if you had any fun ideas of linking up and playing with some friends who have the game on a different platform, well, yeah, that's not going to happen.
Get wrecked, bitch.
But on the bright side, currently Neverwinter campaigns/modules do get released at the same time on all platforms. That wasn't the case in the past, where PC players would get the content several weeks ahead of consoles, and of course console players would complain about it, which they had every right to do. Neverwinter looks surprisingly good for a game reaching a 10-year lifespan. Graphically and visually, it has aged like a fine wine. The art is detailed and elegant, and the lights and shadows are used to brilliant effect. The overall style is of course rooted in fantasy, but does so without being too cartoony. There are also a lot of cosmetic options to customize the appearance of your tunes and create unique and distinctive looks if that is part of your fun. Obviously, it doesn't look like Final Fantasy, Black Desert Online, or Lost Ark, but it's still holding its own. Before you can form your opinion on Neverwinter, you first have to download it. It is completely free to do that, and Neverwinter has no monthly subscriptions or one-time purchase fees attached to it. So if you are someone who hasn't tried or played Neverwinter at all, you can quite literally download it right now for completely free. It costs nothing but a little bit of time and some computer space to have a look and see if it appeals to you. Everything available in the game is obtainable through gameplay, and you can get all the way to the newest content and participate at the highest level and most difficult content of the game without spending a single penny. But it is also designed to take time and for progress to be made gradually as you work your way through the content, earning the things you need and gaining experience playing your tune before reaching the most challenging activities. Now we are going to get into something that usually causes a lot of debates. You can choose to speed up the process and progress faster in certain aspects of the game by using spending real-life money to buy Zen, which is Neverwinter's premium currency. Then, using that Zen to either buy some packs that give you items like mythic insignias or shards of greater empowerment, to name a few, that can speed up your character's development significantly, and you can even speed up your campaign progression with campaign buyouts. But, and this is a big but, none of the items you can buy with Zen are better than the same things you can get through spending time to earn them. All you are actually buying is the temporary advantage of getting them sooner than free-to-play players. Whether you consider that pay-to-win or not is totally and completely up to you, because we all know pay-to-win means different things for different people. Also, as the game is constantly evolving, anything that is bought now as a shortcut towards endgame could be superseded in less than a year. So if you choose to spend, be realistic about what your money is getting you, and you won't actually feel cheated. Neverwinter often adds packs or items to the Zen store that are last-minute cash grabs, like adding a companion to the Zen store that people end up buying because it's best in slot, only to see it nerfed a few weeks or months afterwards. The cash shop in general needs a huge overhaul because there are limited items in it that actually have value, and Cryptic also needs to be a little bit more realistic in what they choose to add to it, so that people don't actually feel that they are being fleeced, because in all honesty, the cash shop is not a fun place right now, and it hasn't been for a very long time. Speaking of Zen, you can also convert your Zen into Astral Diamonds, Neverwinter's main in-game currency, through the Zen exchange. Then use that currency to buy items from Neverwinter's auction house, again saving huge swaths of time that you otherwise would have invested to get those items. However, the best gear cannot be bought. It needs to be earned and grinded for, so there are no shortcuts to that specific aspect of the game. The Astral Diamonds gained in this way come from players who have listed Astral Diamonds they earned to be exchanged for your Zen. This mechanism allows players to get premium currency without spending real-life money if that is their preference. Exchanging Zen for Astral Diamonds is instant, but when trying to do it the other way around and exchanging Astral Diamonds for Zen, then things get a little bit annoying. Each platform does have a backlog of Astral Diamond listings, which are filled on an oldest first basis. Depending on your platform, the turnaround time of a listing can be a few weeks or even up to the longest currently, which is 230 days on PC, which I find to be a ridiculously long period of time, but the backlog is reducing at a very slow pace. But if you do want to spend some money just to make life easier, VIP is something that, in my opinion, Neverwinter does right. There is no monthly subscription, automated payments, or extended commitments. You buy it with Zen in multiples of 30 days, each 30 days giving you 1 rank up to a maximum of 12 ranks. You gain ranks at the time of purchase without having to wait for the days to pass, and you never lose ranks. If your days expire, the benefits go dormant, but they start up again as soon as you buy some more. Strategically buying Zen when there's an offer and then making use of the Zen source sales or discount vouchers makes it even better value. Although not necessary for gameplay, the perks VIP gives you smooths the way through Neverwinter, and do keep the lights on at Cryptic so the devs can actually see what they're doing. But them actually seeing what they are doing is also debatable, and I don't want to get into that right now, so let's continue. There's plenty of variety in the options for your toon or toons, and no one says you have to only have one. There are currently 15 races in Neverwinter. There's the human, the half-orc, wood elf, sun elf, dwarf, half-elf, tiefling, halfling, and drow, and they're all available to play from the start. There are also some premium races. Dragonborn, Moon Elf, Menzo-Branzan Renegade, Aasimar, and Gith require a purchase of an unlock from the Zen store. The last race is the Metallic Dragonborn, which is unlocked via a rare in-game drop, but can be traded for from other players as well, either directly or via the auction house. Each race does have unique bonuses, but unless min-maxing at endgame is a big part of your fun, it doesn't matter that much which one you use. And you can get race reroll tokens to change your race if you changed your mind. Then it's also possible to get the premium races for free, as unlocks are sometimes offered as promotional giveaways. An often asked question is which class is best, and honestly, there is no single best class. All classes are enjoyable and fun to play with. All classes have strengths and weaknesses, and some shine more or less in certain situations. Ultimately, the class that performs best is the one that you are happy to invest the time into to learn all its aspects, and to practice with it in all parts of the game to learn all its synergies, as it is the time that you invest in learning all the quirks and corners of your class that pays off at endgame. There are currently 9 classes in Neverwinter, each with 2 Paragon paths. Paragon paths fall into 3 roles. Damage dealers, known as DPS, and you have your healers and your tanks. Damage types can be broadly defined as melee, ranged, physical, and magical. As with many MMOs, tanks and healers are the most sought after. So if you always want to be included in whatever content you want to play, from a daily dungeon to the latest and most difficult content, then make sure to learn how to play one of those roles. As far as DPS classes go, they all have their fair share of problems when it comes to getting invited to content, with the flavor of the month classes being preferred more often than not. As new content comes into the game, sometimes it favors one style of damage dealer over another. Some classes get updates for balance and some are still waiting. The Wizard got a much needed review recently, so they are the flavor of the month at the moment. But next time, who knows? What can be counted on is that all things change, and what is most popular or favored now will not stay that way forever.
Whoops. Wrong video. Moving on.
Neverwinter uses milestone leveling to be consistent with tabletop D&D. This gives a curated journey which introduces you to elements of gameplay that you will need to know about for when the rest of the game unlocks at level 20. It's a very streamlined and linear set of 6 adventures that can be completed in less than 12 hours if dedicated, and in some extreme speedrunning cases, even as little as 4 hours. At level 11, a big milestone is reached. Each class has 2 Paragon paths that specialize in a particular direction for that class. Some are a different style of damage dealing and others are more of a support path. Loadouts also become available at the same time. 2 free loadouts are given as standard, allowing players to try both paths if they so wish. Loadouts not only make it possible to have different paths, but also to have the same path with different powers. They even let you equip different gear, different mounts, and companions. More loadouts can be purchased later if desired. Some players like to have ones built around different activities and switch between them depending on the content they are running. And you can have up to 10 loadouts, which gives you plenty of build flexibility if you so choose. Reaching level 20 is only the beginning, and it is definitely not the same as being ready for endgame. Once the leveling adventures are complete, you will get to see the rest of the game, which is huge. From this point on, your character grows in strength by working through adventures and campaigns to earn boons and resources and acquiring and upgrading gear to support your class and role, and then honing and expanding on the skills learned during your leveling adventures out in the real world. Neverwinter is not open world. It is instance-based, and although it isn't open world, there are many opportunities to explore. Just ask the players who do parkour. Questing takes place on maps, 6 main maps at present: the Sword Coast, Icewind Dale, Underdark, Chult, Undermountain, and Avernus. Main maps contain locations for campaign activities and some for more than one campaign. There's questing, heroic encounters, which are pitched fights intended for 3, 5, or 10 players. Then you have resource farming, there's lairs, and treasure hunts are among those activities too. Adventures are a chain of quests that complete a storyline. They are played through once and provide rewards of boons, astro diamonds, and other items. Some adventures can be replayed afterwards, but without additional rewards. This lets achievement hunters go back to complete things they may have missed the first time round. There are currently 8 adventures becoming available to play as the designated item level is reached. Campaigns come in 2 types: legacy campaigns, which are the older content, and the current campaigns, which are from the more recent modules. With the release of Module 25, Men's of Branzan, there are now 7 legacy campaigns, 6 current campaigns, and a PvP campaign, but more about PvP later. All campaigns give boons, and most also have a step that unlocks being able to queue specifically for that dungeon, trial, or skirmish associated with the campaign, and another for creation of keys for additional loot chests, giving more sources of rewards and resources, and some give specific gear and upgrade materials. And legacy campaigns also have measures to make progressing them even quicker. The main difference between adventures and campaigns are actually the time gates. Campaigns have a weekly haul, a maximum amount of a key campaign specific currency that once reached stops coming from turning in quests until the weekly reset on Monday morning. Campaigns also have repeatable quests that you farm for currency towards campaign progress. However, there's nothing to stop you from working on more than one character at a time if you want to switch between them as the limits are reached. There are also several types of queued instances that can be queued for either in public or private groups. You can form a party of friends before you queue, or queue on your own and let the game match you with other players queued for the same thing. Skirmishes are the first of the queued instances to become available. There are currently 9 skirmishes, all of which can turn up in the random queues. They are 5-player instances with no team composition requirements, so the queue pops quickly and and are usually quite short at around 10 minutes. These are ideal for starting to earn rough Astral Diamonds, which get converted into the Astral Diamonds that can be spent. And they are also a good place to learn how your toon performs as part of a group. There are 2 groups of dungeons, Standard and Advanced. There are currently 12 Standard and 6 Advanced dungeons. In public queues, there's a team composition requirement of 1 tank, 1 healer, and 3 DPS. And in private queues, this requirement is suspended. The Standard dungeons are the entry-level ideal for learning and practicing basic team tactics, but do not require in-depth knowledge of special tactics to be successful. The Advanced dungeons are more challenging with specific mechanics, and where a lack of knowledge of the strengths of your class can cause an actual team wipe. For healers and tanks, these queues can pop quickly, but for DPS, this wait can be a long one, though you can do other things while waiting. Trials, on the other hand, are 10-player instances, and there are currently 13 trials in total. Shorter than dungeons, but also more challenging, and with the potential to actually fail more often than not. In public queues, there is a team composition requirement of 2 tanks, 2 healers, and 6 DPS. But just like dungeons and private queues, you can have whatever mix you want. Though if you don't have enough of the right skills in your group, you most likely won't be successful. There are also master versions of certain dungeons and trials with greater difficulty, risk of failure, and rewards. These are the most challenging content within the game. Dragon hunts are also one of the most recent hunts coming into the game with Module 23, and actually form one of the most recent campaigns called Dragon Slayer, with different types of dragons and modifiers to increase difficulty and random elements to keep things spicy. It's never really a dull moment, especially when I start raging like a madman.
Can I use my potions?
Fucking Χριστός σου.
Can I use
Παναγία σου. Γαμώ το μουνί της μανάρα σου, μπάσταρδε. Suck a fucking huge dick. Any color. Black, white, green, yellow, I don't give a fuck. Any color.
There are also monster hunts in Chult, Barovia, and Avernus, though these are of a slightly different setup requiring the collecting of lures to summon the monster to be hunted in the relevant zone. Neverwinter also has annual events scattered throughout the year. These are often a good way to get mounts, companions, and upgrade resources. And there are also appointment events, which let players earn high-quality items, the highest ones needing participation in several of these events over the course of time. And then we have Battle Passes. Battle Passes are a fairly recent addition to Neverwinter's activities. Each Battle Pass is slightly different, but has the common element of participating in random public queues and in activities related to the latest module to earn XP specific to that Battle Pass during the defined window of time. They are made up of 3 parts, each 5 weeks long, with rewards at 4 milestones that can be achieved quite easily. And they also have 2 tiers of rewards, the free version and the premium version, that mostly benefit new and mid-game players. Veteran or established players often find those rewards pretty underwhelming, and sometimes even the mid players or new players feel the same. And lastly, we have the Reaper's Challenge. Each day a different dungeon is selected and has its difficulty increased with modifiers to add additional challenges to test a player's mettle. When it comes to an overall storyline in Neverwinter, you'll have a very hard time finding one. It doesn't have a single linear storyline, but rather many small stories scattered through the maps. This is very much in keeping with D&D, where each campaign is a self-contained story, even if it refers to events that occurred in earlier campaigns. D&D is very lore-driven, but Neverwinter is not. It focuses more on action combat and much less on a strict following of a plot. Neverwinter might be a 10-year-old game, but the combat system hasn't lost its appeal over this time, even though it went through a major overhaul in Module 16, which definitely made a lot of players unhappy and was the cause for some people to actually even quit playing the game altogether, including myself for a brief period of time. But regardless of the drama surrounding the complete rework of the combat system, it still remains Neverwinter's biggest, most attractive and enticing part of the game as a whole. You could hate or dislike multiple aspects of the game and wish things were done differently, but the combat system is one of the best you will ever encounter. It has an action aiming system that is super fun and literally gives you the feeling that you are actually inflicting pain on your target, and not many games give you that feeling. With a mix of instant small attacks called at-will powers, larger, stronger encounter powers that take a few seconds to cast or cool down, then you have your much bigger daily powers that require filling of your action point reservoir to actually use. Add in synergies between feats and powers, additional powers from artifacts, gear, and mounts, not to mention more synergies within a team between powers from different members, and then the combat seems extremely lively without being a button basher. It is extremely engaging, and if you ever decide to quit the game, I can almost guarantee the memory you will take with you would be the combat system. And as far as overall gameplay in Neverwinter, there is something for everyone. You can solo play or play with groups and friends. The public queues match people who prefer the solitary life with others who also want to play the same queues or other instances. And like many games, you'll find a troll or other unpleasant people in a public queue now and again. But That's what the ignore function is for. Or, you could just split a huge boulder in half and turn the trolls into stone. There are lots of level of interaction which you can choose to participate in or not, whether you are the life of the party or prefer the solitude of a hermit. You can find both. Guilds, both large and small, some with specific focus on main language, some more laid back, and some with rigid expectations. Finding a guild that suits you is just a case of getting an invite and getting to know them. Stay if you found your people, or move on and meet some new friends if you haven't. Alliances are a group of 13 guilds, all working together to achieve goals, help each other grow, and be a wider pool of people to support each other and party with. And there are several hub locations in game where people hang out, and zone chat is always a good place to find others working on stuff in the same location as you. And as for the ones who are not so nice, and there's always a few no matter which game you play, then the ignore button is an excellent function. Now, as far as PvP is concerned in Neverwinter, if that is something you are interested in doing in MMO games, it has had a very rocky history. It used to be a very busy and sought-after in-game activity that was very rewarding, fun, and somewhat balanced in its infancy. It was a place where players could go head-to-head and have some fun destroying each other with their unique PvP builds and possibly show off and earn some respect as a good PvPer. But PvP never really evolved. The devs were not adding new maps or balancing PvP well enough or often enough to keep players interested. Most of the changes to PvP were broken and made the experience even worse and extremely unbalanced. Over time, players slowly just gave up on PvP altogether due to exploits, huge imbalances, and the lack of interest from the company to devote any sort of time to better it and making it something players would actually love to take part in. So, as of right now, PvP crawled under the bridge and died. Cryptic has no intention of giving it any love in the near future. They have said so in their live streams and publicly that their main focus is the PvE aspect of Neverwinter, which to me is a shame, because some of the most fun I've had in the game over the past 10 years was actually in PvP, and some of the funniest and most fun content creators created PvP content on the regular, especially my friend Minimi.
Smash!
Get smashed.
Oh my god! Ah!
You're about to die.
Well, come and get it, boy!
Oh,
Oh, I think I made him mad.
I'm gonna squish you like a bug. Smash.
Defended myself.
You're no match for me. Smash.
Full charge. Maximum damage. Come over here. Smash. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We never had plans of you bringing your little sister into the fight.
But that was another time. As of right now, public PvP is dead content with only a few community organized events drawing enough people to have a decent scrap. Neverwinter has tons of gear and items to hunt down and grind for. The only problem is you usually don't have enough time to enjoy your newly acquired gear because roughly every 4 months, new gear gets introduced with the new modules that you again have to grind for. Most of the new gear looks different in appearance and have different names, but usually have recycled equipped bonuses with slightly elevated stats. Campaigns also are all very similar and function the same way. You get a small intro into the campaign as you are questing. There are also time-gated milestone achievements which take 2 to 2.5 months to complete, and each milestone achievement grants you rewards along the way. The campaign zones themselves have repeatable daily and weekly quests and mini bosses that drop lower tier gear. They also have heroics that grant you much needed currencies or reagents to acquire better gear or to upgrade existing gear. While the zones are all visually pleasing and can be super fun to explore, the sheer repetition gets boring quickly. There isn't enough variety in zone activities to keep you interested for a long period of time. Neverwinter also has way too much recycled content for my liking. Every new zone that is created will have either a lot or at least some of it recycled from previous modules or content in the game. They sometimes try to camouflage it by adding extra textures or integrating them into small areas of newly dropped campaigns. They recycle almost everything. They recycle mounts, companions, gear, zones, and even content with some dungeons or trials. But by far the most annoying thing in Neverwinter for me is RNG. Some RNG is to be expected, especially from a game that takes inspiration from a system based on D20 dice rolls. But almost everything you do has an element of RNG attached to it. It begins with loot boxes which have a very low drop rate, as little as 0.04% for some items, and it continues into other aspects of the game. Items and gear you grind for, reagents, upgrading materials like coalescent modes, to the dungeon loot itself is heavily RNG based, and sometimes the rewards do not reflect your effort. In fact, most of the time they don't. You can literally grind something for months to get something that only boosts your character's performance by a very insignificant amount. Then, we have an insane amount of bugs in Neverwinter as well, some of which have been around since Moses split the sea in half and have yet to be fixed. Cryptic is mostly frustratingly slow when it comes to fixing well-known bugs and repairing in-game imbalances. Neverwinter gets tons of patches in a full year to try to correct these issues in the game, but they are usually a very small portion of the overall things that need to be fixed.
No, don't kill me. It's okay. Now you're gonna turn around and run.
He's after me. I am running.
I think I'm trying to come over here. Motherfucker, dude, this guy. That's gotta be the funniest shit I've seen in my life.
He did, and I'm recording it too. He didn't get me.
This shit is crazy. He's chasing you around the map, bro. Like, what the fuck?
In my opinion, Neverwinter's early gaming experience is top-notch and very immersive. There's lots to do in early and mid-game, sometimes more than you can easily choose from, but as you become more deeply positioned in the endgame part of the population, the variety of those activities do get less, and it takes making the choice to find the fun in what you want or need to do, instead of waiting for it to jump up and give you a slap in the face or a big wet kiss. The game as a whole is very grindy and has tons of content to get through, which can be overwhelming, but the combat and the meeting new people to socialize with while engaging in various in-game activities is what makes Neverwinter fun and what makes the grind a lot less tedious. The game has a large amount of bugs and broken things, which do get super annoying and can ruin portions of your Neverwinter experience when encountering them, that might eventually get fixed.
Bro, she just stabbed him in the goddamn penis. Did you guys see that? He just stabbed him right in the fucking penis. Eesh, bro, look at the pain.
With no guarantee on the fixed part not actually getting worse. Neverwinter has a small but very dedicated fan base regardless of its problems over the years. I'm not exactly sure what the exact Neverwinter population numbers are because reliable sources are not available, but if I had to venture an educated guess based on activity, I'd say around 15,000 players. Neverwinter also has a healthy amount of content creators to choose from that offer guides, builds, and all types of Neverwinter news, and they also critique and theory craft. Some are better than others, and a few are frustratingly annoying. You'll just have to find the ones that you enjoy that don't lick double-glazed windows for a living after doing your own research. And Neverwinter has a lot of recycled content, repetition, and wasted potential, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy the game. The combat system is the best I've ever encountered, and it's a shame there isn't more variety in the content to keep players happy, especially towards the endgame. But you do have 25 modules to get through, which should keep you very busy until then. My hope is that Neverwinter will find a way to continue into the future with more innovative content. I want them to be able to attract new players and not push them away. Existing players need to be able to measure their progress regardless of the pace they set themselves so they don't burn out. The current dev team is doing better at communicating with the player base than it has for many years, possibly ever. If this continues and expands into actually fixing things and adding new and unique content, then Neverwinter could evolve into a truly amazing game on all levels. And I know it's a 10-year-old game, but it's never too late to turn things around. It might be a fool's hope, but it's a hope nonetheless. And my fear is that all of my hopes for the game's future are just wishful thinking, and not many significant changes will happen to better the game. I fear that the game will be stuck in an endless loop of recycled content, and that the perception that only endgame is worth playing will continue to spread, and with it that you have to pay to be able to play with the big boys, which isn't true, and so much of the fun part of the game is actually the journey to get there. So should you play Neverwinter in 2023 and beyond? My opinion is yes, you should, because despite having a predatory cash shop, various annoying bugs, questionable balancing, and a lack of meaningful content at endgame, it is still an incredible combat system and a fun overall adventure. There are many things the game needs to work on to be better and to attract new players, like better marketing, better product, and a clear vision of the direction the game will grow into. Because we can't forget that the game is going to be 10 years old this summer, so it needs to step up its game to keep the small player base it has and gain more if possible. So as I said, give it a shot and see for yourself if the game has anything to offer to keep you interested for the long term. But you could never actually know that if you don't try it out for yourself. And no amount of videos like this one can offer what the game itself can. And that's a personal, hands-on experience. So I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, maybe consider liking, sharing, or subscribing. And if not, well, then don't. Galactic here. Peace out. Stay safe.